Luke Thomas at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, next to the world's most dangerous man, Ken Shamrock, who takes on Kimbo Slice June 19th on Spike TV at Bellator 138. Ken, nice to see you. You're looking yokes, my friend. Look at this. Look at this guy.
Well, you know what, man? It's a lifestyle for me. Even when I'm sitting around and not fighting, I'm always making sure that I'm in shape. And it's like I said, it's a lifestyle for me, and it's a way of living. So when the fight came up, man, I was like, all I got to do is just get in the gym and get my timing going, and I'm ready to rock.
Let's connect some of the dots for folks who may not know. Where do you live and where do you train these days?
I live in Reno, Nevada. But right now, my first 6 weeks I was in Modesto, California, doing my strength and conditioning with Dan Freeman, who was my strength and conditioning coach. And then I was in San Diego now for my last 2 months and getting prepared there at San Diego Arena Combat. Manny's my head trainer, and then Bill from the Convoy San Diego Combat is my strength and conditioning now going into the fight, preparation for the fight. So I have had a tremendous training camp up to this point. It's been probably 10 years, 15 years since I've been able to have this kind of a training camp, this kind of success in my training camp. So, man, I'll tell you what, I'm busting out at the seams right now, just dying to get in there and stop talking about it and showing it, because anybody can talk about it. And like I said, I just want to show it.
It sounds like you have what most people would call a boxing style camp. In other words, everything is sort of built around you rather than what you see most of the time today, these guys in these huge teams, and they're all killing each other. Is that a fair characterization of what's happening here?
Oh, absolutely. I saw that starting out actually here in Las Vegas when a lot of guys were moving here. And I saw these gyms coming up, and I saw when these guys went in the gyms, you had like 10 guys in there that were all basically going to be fighting on a main card. And I thought to myself, that's a lot of guys competing for time in training. And then when they're all working together, there's no way that the one guy is going to let another guy work him over or give him any advantage. So you basically are going to have a fight every day you go in to train, and it's hard to relax and let down and actually learn when you're doing that, and that's when injuries come. So I saw that coming a while back when that started to really happen here in Vegas. I have built the camp basically to gradually take about 6 months for me to get into this fight, for me to prepare to go into a fight.
So just to start things up, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really starts out pretty slowly, where you just go in and you start lifting regular weights like you would like a bodybuilder, just to build that core and your strength up. And then you transfer out of that into actually building your body into so it can be more into the strength of combat fighting. And then once you build your body into that strength, then you go into your sparring and your grappling, and then you're basically just getting yourself in condition to be able to go through the fight. Once you're done getting yourself in condition and going through the fight, then you put your game plan together.
Now, Ken, you know this. We live in a world full of critics. We live in a world full of skeptics. I'm going to play devil's advocate, and you give me the response to what the critics might or have said. They say, Ken Shamrock, he last fought in 2010. They say, Ken Shamrock, he's 51. Are you, in the critics' mind, they're going to say, Ken Shamrock, you're too old to be fighting. And to that you say?
I say watch the fight, because I can't say anything, and I can't say that they're wrong from what we've seen in the past. I struggled to get through certain things that were going on with me during that time. I refused to quit, and I refused to back up, and I tried to fight through, not knowing what it was. Once I had gotten through and I realized what the situation was, and I went in and got things taken care of, I went back out, started training. It was a whole new light, whole new world for me. And so now that I'm starting to train, I'm starting to see that success and that growth in my training. And so all I'm saying is this. I don't disagree with them as far as, Ken's 51. Should he be fighting? Should he be fighting? Because what we've seen in the past has definitely been an aged fighter. I say this. Give me a chance. Allow me to walk in the ring and prove everybody wrong, because this is a Ken Shamrock 15 years ago. That's what I feel like right now. That's what I'm training like right now, and that's what you're going to see in the ring come June 19th.
Any concerns? I mean, you look like you're in great physical shape. Any concerns that the commission might be skeptical about giving you a license?
Well, I would not think so. I mean, in the world that we live in today, we went through prejudiceness with women, with race, with all kinds of color, and many other things in the world as far as racism. I would obviously hope that we've gotten past that stuff, to where just because a guy walks into a place that's 51 years old, that he doesn't have to do backflips and 1,000 push-ups and 1,000 pull-ups in order to get cleared to fight in an arena. If I can pass what everybody else can pass, then why can't I fight?
Kimbo Slice, he's been off for a long time too. What do you think he's been up to? Like, we know he left MMA for a while and he boxed for a little bit, but he's been kind of quiet recently. Do you really feel like, I mean, ring rust is obviously going to be a factor, but do you just think like he's sort of mentally in the game, ready and prepared?
I can't speak for him.
Because here's what people are saying. Let's get back to those critics and those skeptics. They're going to say, hey, the big paycheck comes your way. You'll do just about anything. Talking about Kimbo Slice, of course. Is that a fair criticism of him?
I couldn't speak on that. I don't know the guy personally. I know him through fighting. I know that he tremendously pulled himself up out of the gutter and put himself into a position to be where he's at now, where everybody loves to watch the guy fight. So I don't know what he's doing in his off time, but I would tell you this. If he hasn't been training and working, he's going to get hurt.
You wrote an open letter recently to Jon Jones, who has been in a ton of trouble. What prompted you to write that letter?
My heart. I kind of felt like I've been there, and I thought that he was in a critical part of his life where he has some decisions to make. He can get angry at the world and at the people and all these things and blame everybody and continue going in the direction that he's going in. Or he can realize, hey, I got an issue, I got a problem. I owe it to my fans, to myself, to my family to make the right decision right now, to be able to go in and get some help and be able to turn things around and become the champion that I have been and that I can be.
What do you think is his problem? Do you think he has yes men around him? Is he just young and making bad choices? What is it?
Well, I think it's a combination of all that. But the bottom line is this. He's a young man. And I think that he's got to look at himself in the mirror and realize that, you know what, I screwed up. All the things that I've done up to this point have been things that I have done to myself, Not my trainers, not my parents, and not my friends, but me. And I am the only one that's going to be able to get myself out of here. But you know what? He has the ability to do that. If he can do what he did and become a world champion and one of the greatest light heavy world champions, him and Tito both, greatest light heavyweight champions ever, if he can do that, then this is just another fight for him that he's got to champion. And it's got to be a fight with himself, and he's got to win that fight.
Bellator is now run by Scott Coker. Very few negative comments, at least sort of outside the UFC world anyway, about Scott Coker. And he had a lot of success, as you mentioned, with Tito Ortiz and the fight with Stephan Bonnar. How far do you think Scott Coker can take Bellator to actually be a real competitor to UFC?
Well, I think we've seen it in a short amount of time. The interest in Bellator and the moves that he's been making up to that point, the respect level that he shows towards ex-world champions has gone a long way with the fans. And I think it's probably, just right around the corner before, and maybe right after this fight with me and Kimbo, where I think you start seeing Bellator actually start rising up and be able to compete at that level.
Do you feel any pressure to deliver ratings, or do you feel like the name Ken Shamrock with the name Kimbo Slice and then put on Spike TV relatively takes care of itself?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, that's the stupid thinking, to think because you've already done something that you just carry it over. My work ethic and the way that I live my life is always trying to make sure that I can do better and become better. And it's no different now. It's like I'm not going to rely on what I did in the past because that's in the past. It's about what we do now and what we do moving forward. The fans have changed. The thought processes have changed. And so, therefore, I have to change in the ways that I do things and the way that I speak sometimes. I've got to become more mature in myself and in the way that I do things, just as this sport has matured. And so I'm trying to follow that and always try to improve myself and become better as a human being, as a fighter, and also as somebody who loves competing in front of my fans.
Before I let you go, I know you're a UFC Hall of Famer. It seems like whatever differences you had with them, you sort of patched up and moved on. You're in Bellator. You got to fight against Kimbo Slice. I'm curious about your thoughts maybe on those other fighters who have sued the UFC in the antitrust suit. What do you make of all that?
Yeah, that's not my position to speak on that. I've had my dealings. I've done that. I felt like I made my point, where my stance and where I stood on a lot of things. So whatever these guys are doing and their movement going forward, that's what they're doing, and it has nothing to do with me.
Do you think there should be a fighters union?
Absolutely, I do. I really do. I think that, but I mean, yeah, and it's I don't know, I guess it's a devil's advocate, because to me, I've seen it two different ways. I saw when someone does get a union, they abuse it. With sick leave and pay and all these things that go along with a union, and they start taking advantage of the rules, and then all of a sudden the actual corporation starts to suffer, or the business starts to suffer because of a union. But I've also seen unions basically save people's lives and be able to give them hope. So there is good and bad. If we can get a union in here and it could be set up fairly, I think that that's probably the next step in order for these guys to be able to move forward and be able to get paid and be able to have insurance or whatever it is we need to move forward to make the sport professional.
Ken, we wish you best of luck June 19th against Kimbo Slice at Bellator 138. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, and God bless.